Thanks, guys. Was that planned? I don't know, but thank you anyway, I think. Good morning, everyone. Today, my story, like Rico's, discusses the proposed reclassification of cannabis to a Schedule 3. This will include a little insight from legal expert Michael Rosenblum. The U.S. has seen several significant milestones in cannabis legislation in recent years. Notably, 24 states have legalized adult use cannabis, and over 40 states have implemented medical marijuana programs. President Biden has mentioned pardoning approximately 6,500 federal cannabis convictions, urging state governors to follow suit. And as we all know, Health and Human Services has recommended to the DEA to reclassify cannabis to Schedule 3 substance, moving it away from its current Schedule 1 status, which it aligns it, as we all know, with drugs like heroin, LSD, characterized by high abuse potential and no accepted medicinal value. Benzinga reached out to Michael Rosenblum, a partner at Thompson Cogum LLP and an experienced figure in cannabis law, to understand the impact of these changes. Rosenblum highlighted the significance of reclassifying cannabis to Schedule 3, stating reclassifying cannabis to Schedule 3 means that federal government no longer views cannabis as among the riskiest drugs, although cannabis would remain a controlled substance. Rescheduling would reduce the obstacles faced by businesses and consumers. He noted that this change would particularly benefit cannabis businesses by offering tax relief concerning the IRS Code 280E. Rosenblum also addressed the difference between descheduling and rescheduling cannabis. He explained if cannabis were to be descheduled, which we all want, it would no longer be listed as a controlled substance like alcohol or tobacco and would be subject to fewer restrictions. However, he believes that descheduling is unlikely, while reclassifying cannabis to Schedule 3 would happen before the 2024 presidential election or even sooner. Rosenblum's vision for an ideal cannabis reform includes removing cannabis from the Controlled Substances Act, preserving state authority over cannabis regulation, allowing interstate cannabis transport, expunging past nonviolent cannabis convictions, and imposing a low-level excise tax on adult use sales to support small cannabis businesses and enforcement against unlicensed operators. The discussion also covered the Safer Banking Act, aimed at improving banking's access for cannabis businesses. Rosenblum pointed out that the act, while beneficial for small and mid-size operators, would have a limited impact since it does not legalize cannabis federally. He emphasized that the Safer Banking Act would be valuable, but its impact will be somewhat limited given that it does not legalize cannabis federally. This might not be much help for retailers facing ongoing challenges with payment methods. He also highlighted the act doesn't resolve major industry challenges like access to capital and uncertain listings of U.S. cannabis companies on major stock exchanges. So as we wrap up, it's clear the proposed reclassification of cannabis to a Schedule 3 is a crucial step forward. While I, in my heart, know that cannabis should be descheduled, Michael Rosenblum's insight offer a deeper understanding of the complexities involved with rescheduling, but I do like his idea for an ideal cannabis reform does make sense. I'm Stone Slade, reporting for the High at 9 News Hour.
Oh, man, rescheduling is going to be so bad. So bad.
Jason, don't you start your rumor mongering again, bro.
It's true. It's not a rumor. It's true.
Yes, you are. You have no basis in no evidential fact for what you're going to spew right now.
100% you do. 100% I do. You have the oh my God, the
I want you to do the debate. Let's have a debate right now.
We're gonna have a debate right now.
Yeah, let's throw down.
Okay.
Jason, you have 2 minutes, sir.
Really? Me? You want me to start? Okay, no problem.
2 minutes is a long time.
Yeah. I don't know if we have enough time
We'll
on
let
that
Jason
show
talk.
for all that. But the thing about it is this: is every single product is consumer packaged good within cannabis, and you have the Food, Drug, and Cosmetics Act, which actually regulates all of those products, and therefore every single product in cannabis would fall under that, and the FDA regulates everything by the molecule, not by the actual compound. And since they already have drug preclusion on THC and CBD, every single product will be deemed an illicit product. And not to mention, Schedule 3 drugs have to be dispensed at pharmacies, and I don't see states all of a sudden turning dispensaries into pharmacies for the sake of that. So I think we're all screwed. And it's not worth getting 280E if you're not really going to be able to have a real business.
Okay, so basically what you said is that the CPGs, which is the consumer packaged goods.
Well, I'm saying all products because the FDA already has drug preclusion on THC
all
and
the
CBD.
Cannabis products would become illegal, is what
Correct.
you're telling me.
Yep.
So the same as they are right now.
No, differently, because the thing about it, different type of illegal, because there would be a different agency of enforcement. Currently, the FDA doesn't have any enforcement. Hold on, Luke. Let me explain this to you so you can get a couple wrinkles in your brain real quick. So basically, when you have right now, as it being a Schedule 1 drug, the FDA has zero jurisdiction over cannabis because cannabis has zero medical value as far as it being classified as a Schedule 1 drug.
Who has jurisdiction over it?
Only the DEA, and we have the DEA curbed with the Rohrabacher-Farr Amendment, which is now the McClintock Blumenauer.
You only have the DEA curbed in states that are legal with people who are following state law.
No, it actually covers all cannabis in more ways, and I can go into that.
Read the amendment, sir.
I understand that, but it's appropriations bill, and appropriations bills are written so broadly that they can't actually even spend money to investigate whether a product is from that or not. So it actually kind of covers everything all the way around.
It lists the states out, Jay. It lists the states where that you're protected. If you're in a state that's not protected, you are smoked by the DEA, dog.
Look. Either way, however you want to frame that, I don't care about that, because that's not the point. The point is that we will have a new branch of government to curtail us, which will be the FDA, and they love to send out letters. They've done it to tons of different cannabis companies that were involved in the hemp space already for over the past few years, and so it's going to just end up happening again. People are going to get screwed.
The U.S. Attorney has sent us letters. The DEA has sent us letters.
Yeah,
the FDA.
I've gotten letters from the Office of the Attorney General. Those are the scariest ones.
My point is this: is that cannabis is federally illegal. Cannabis goes to Schedule 3. Cannabis is still federally illegal. You can go to prison for cannabis right now. If it goes to Schedule 3, you could still go to prison for cannabis. So the idea that somehow it's going to change like the whole dynamic of the state dispensary system just doesn't make any sense. Now, eventually, you're right. Eventually, we can go through FDA clinical testings, get stuff approved, then have it disseminated throughout pharmacies.
There's not one single company. There's not one single company that's going to be able to pay to get their products through an FDA screening. There's not one.
GlaxoSmithKline won't, and Pfizer.
Well, I think those are not cannabis companies. Those would become cannabis companies when it goes into Schedule 3, because you're basically giving the pharmaceutical industry the cannabis industry.
I would argue with
down the road you will see those individuals involved.
Yeah.
And down the road you will see a hybrid.
We already do, Luke. We already do. I would argue that Pfizer is a cannabis company. They hold a third of all the patents in the industry already.
Absolutely. You're 100% correct, Rico. But I'm giving Jason the benefit of the doubt of saying they're not actually physically involved right now. But you're right.
They're not plant touching companies currently.
They are sitting on the sidelines waiting.
They are. $6.8 billion investment in Arena Pharmaceuticals last year would argue separately, Jason, that they are plant touching now.
I don't know. I'm not buying that one. But
I don't know. I think that from a practical standpoint, the executive branch can change the scheduling. They have the power to do that. The DEA has done it before. You don't have to go back to Congress. If you're going to deschedule it, you got to change the Controlled Substances Act. Right now, the Congress can't agree on shit, so I don't see that happening. I hope the courts take this and look at Schedule 1 and say, no, there's no way Schedule 1's applicable, and just remove it, throw it out. Now the Congress has to do something to put it back in. I don't see them doing diddly.
When we brought it before court, Dale, is that's exactly what the angle that we tried to argue before it. And I mean, the courts aren't really backing that argument right now, unfortunately.
Well, but I've been part of that too, Luke. And what happens is you're stuck in the administrative runaround. So you go to court to try and force the next step in the administrative process, and you try to bring up, hey, this shit don't belong in Schedule 1. We had that trial here in Sacramento, Luke. Okay.
I mean,
they would not.
People who are involved in the IND program on my list to be called as witnesses so that they could testify to the fact that cannabis had medical efficacy and then to give us the medical necessity defense. And the judge basically said, I'm not even going to let them come into the courtroom.
Well, because it's irrelevant in the regulatory scheme that you're stuck in, where the DEA says, oh, okay, file us a piece of paper and give it to us. They sit on it for 3 or 4 years, and finally you take them to court and say, Judge, force these son of a bitches to sign this piece of paper so I can go to the next step. And you want to bring up Schedule 1, and it's irrelevant in that situation. There are some cases now where they went right at Schedule 1 in court. So it's going to be before the Supreme Court. Is this constitutional? And they can't meet the criteria. So I'm hoping the court throws it out, and then they have to do something. If cannabis is out of the scheduling because the court threw it out, somebody's got to do something with it. I mean, the trap's always going to win, but if you want to make it legal somehow, semi-legal, the Congress has to go back and deal with it. And there's no way the debacle of 1970 or even 1937, where there's bullshit stated and there's, it's just nonsense how we got to where we are right now. I don't think it's going to fly anymore. There's too many people watching them. We all know weed's not dangerous, doesn't cause cancer, that you don't jump off buildings trying to fly like it's just nonsense.
I agree. There's no way that it can stay at a Schedule 1 if you go by the criteria. Again, like, the courts just aren't backing us on this, Dale. They're basically saying it doesn't matter how many clinical studies you have, how many anecdotal stories that you have about the medical efficacy or the accepted medical use in the United States, that until the DEA says it's an accepted medical use, or until the FDA says that it's an accepted medicine, the judges won't buy it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but Luke, again, this is the problem. If you bring it to court in the regulatory scheme, then the status of cannabis is irrelevant. And that's the battle we had. I mean, I was part of these cases. I've been there. I've seen it. I've talked to the attorneys who put the witnesses on. My friends have testified in these cases. And so now they have brought a direct attack at the scheduling, not through the DEA, not giving us our permission to go to the next level of study, but this is bullshit. You can't satisfy the requirement. It's unconstitutional to be here. I think the court, and especially the Supreme Court we have right now, Clarence Thomas is ready to hit this shit out of the park.
Yeah, shout out to Clarence Thomas.
Say no.
Mm-hmm.
It's done. Get it out of here.
Shout out to Clarence
shout out to
Thomas.
Harlan Crow.
Yeah.
Shout out to Harlan Crow.